I don't really know what to do as an intro for this one because it's kind of self-explanatory. I'm talking about my 5 favorite Naruto fights. So before I proceed, I have 2 rules. First rule, only 1 fight per character involved. So I'm only picking each character's best fight that they participated in, and this is to keep the list from being dominated by Naruto and Sasuke battles. Second rule, not counting Naruto versus Sasuke, because that was a really good fight. Everybody loves that fight. It's a really obvious choice. So alright, rules are out of the way. Let's get on with the list. What an insane fight this is. It's very short, so there's not a whole lot to it. But this fight is so fucking awesome! It starts off very standard, but it eventually evolves into something pretty unique because seeing Konan's paper ninjutsu interact with Obito's ability to pass through objects makes for a really dynamic and unique fight. And just a whole bunch of cool stuff starts happening. She sends a bunch of paper towards Obito and he tries to use Kamui to suck it away, but then there's paper bombs in it and it goes like and it blows away half of his body. And he's just like, oh, I underestimated you. And she's just like, I'm not done yet. And then Konan opens up the ocean and it's all paper bombs and Obito looks down and it's like, and he like falls down and everything starts blowing up and Konan's like, yeah, it's gonna blow up for 10 consecutive minutes, you're done. And she's all like, oh yeah, finally. And then Obito's behind her. Then he reveals that under his mask was a second Sharingan that he used for Izanagi. And it was so cool! I doubt I have to explain why I put Gaara vs. Rock Lee on this list. If you are a fan of Naruto and you have seen this fight, Gaara vs. Rock Lee is one of your favorites. There's so much speed, the hits are brutal and deliberate, and watching the seemingly invincible Gaara slowly come to terms with the fact that he's being overwhelmed is really cool. Not to mention, this fight is where we get introduced to one of the coolest aspects of the entire series, the 8 gates, and the concept is introduced magnificently in this fight. Overall, great scores here. I love this fight, and so should you. I guess I'm technically cheating with this entry because Naruto and Sasuke are both in later entries on the list, and Gaara's included and he was in the fight with Lee, but I think I can count this as an exception considering the fact that Madara is taking on a whole lot more than just them. Anyway, not only is this one of the best fights in the series, but it's also one of the best character introductions in the series. Madara had been built up endlessly before this fight happened. His statue was in the Valley of the End when Naruto fought Sasuke. Kurama mentioned him when Naruto and Sasuke fought, well, again in Orochimaru's hideout. And Obito assumed Madara's name for a good portion of the series up to this point. So when I saw the real Madara summoned through Edo Tensei, my jaw hit the floor because I had no idea what this guy was actually capable of. And when he started fighting, I mean, there just really aren't any words for it. He kills like 12,000 people with taijutsu alone. And then there's just one part where this guy throws a kunai at him with an explosive tag stuck to it, and Madara just... Then he busts out the biggest fire jutsu in the entire series, then he pulls out Susanoo, then he pulls out the Rinnegan.
This guy has a trick hat, and this trick hat is labeled epic shit, and he keeps on pulling out epic shit from this hat. That's the way it is.
I mean, everything about the fight is perfect. The music is used incredibly well. Madara doesn't speak too much or too little. The characters' reactions are on point. But above all, Madara is just a complete goon. The only thing that keeps this fight from being higher up on the list is the lack of any emotional tension. Anybody watching this fight kind of forgets about the stakes entirely because of the fact that Madara is so cool that you begin to not care about how many people are dying. Seriously, Madara is actually too raw for his own good. I had a lot of Sasuke fights to pick from for this entry, but the 2 it came down to were Sasuke vs. Danzo and Sasuke vs. Itachi. Now, obviously, I don't have to tell you which one I picked since you already know that, but many of you might be wondering why I chose Sasuke vs. Itachi over all of Sasuke's other fights. The main reason for that is build-up. Now, as I mentioned in the last entry, Madara had a lot of character build-up, but that doesn't even compare to the amount of build-up that this fight received. We've known about Sasuke's hatred for his older brother essentially since we met the kid, so this conflict had been building up essentially for the entire series up to this point. And after hundreds of episodes and hundreds of chapters, it finally happens, and the audience feels this massive amount of payoff. As somebody who started watching Naruto when it first started airing on Toonami over here in the States, I had been waiting for this fight for years, and I'm glad to be able to say that it lives up to all of the hype that the series gave it. It's kinetic, it's quick, it's emotional, it's tense, it's epic, the characters are creative, the music is well placed, the dialogue is well well written. And, not to mention, this fight is where two of the coolest techniques in the entire series make their debut. Kirin and Susanoo. Can't get much better than that. You know what? I know some people are gonna disagree with this choice.
Fuck you!
I like this fight. It's great. When Naruto shows up, he like shows up, he's like, one pain, he just goes like he's broken to pieces. And then the Pray to Path is like, I'm gonna steal your chakra. Then he gets turned into a frog, and then all the other paths of pain are like, what is going on? It's just like, you can't absorb too much sage energy. Naruto versus Pain is my favorite. And I know you may disagree, but
my pain is still far greater than yours!